Welcome to Ellefluential. I'm El Salagaris, and welcome to the podcast where we go behind the scenes of life, relationships, beauty, and everything in between. Join me as we get a little bit bougie, talk with people I can't wait for you to meet, and share some fun and laughs together. Coming up on this episode, there really is just so much that you don't know about me, and I'm ready for you to find out. Hi guys, and welcome to my very first episode of Ellefluential. This is my very first podcast episode ever, and I'm so excited. I'm a little bit nervous, but it's okay. We're in this together, and I really just want the vibe of this podcast to just feel like I'm your big sister. I want it to be real, raw, uncensored. I really just want it to feel like you and I are having a girls' night and we're having a big D&M. I really feel like the really aesthetic content is kind of going out of style, and we're getting into this really real and raw and raunchy kind of content. And I feel like this is my time to shine. So I'll talk a little bit about my history in social media. I've been doing TikTok, taking TikTok seriously and social media seriously for about a year now. And it's kind of turned into a job, which I really wasn't expecting, but also at the same time, I can't say that because I've been chipping away at this for years. Some people have followed me for literally maybe 8 or 9 years since I used to do YouTube content. When I used to put out mummy vlogger style YouTube videos. When I was around 21, I met my husband. I got pregnant really young at 22. We had only been together for 10 months. It was pretty scandalous, but I was a really young mum and I didn't have any mum friends or any outlets. So I really turned to YouTube, and I was obsessed with watching pregnancy updates on YouTube, and I really wanted to make my own. So I started making my own from like my first week of pregnancy, putting all of that content out there, like was chasing that kind of family channel, mummy vlogger lifestyle. Now it's funny because I've turned a full 180. I don't show my kids at all. I try and keep them really private. I don't show their faces. I don't really talk about them much. And I keep that side of my life so private because honestly, now I just find all that so creepy. I've just completely come around on that and feel so differently about it. But I have privated all those videos, but I have a lot of people who've kind of followed that whole journey, which is so funny. So if you're watching this now, that is just watching the growth. And I think I've just had so many different social media eras. So a little bit about me and how I've gotten into the media space. I remember when I was 10 and getting my first camcorder and just being obsessed with media. I wanted to be a director. I used to make little movies. I used to edit them like on my mum's MacBook and post them on YouTube back when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, like corralling all of my siblings and everything into these videos. I've always been obsessed with content. I studied media in high school and at uni. It was one of my uni degrees, not that I finished, but that's the story for another day. I remember when Instagram first came out and I was in high school and being so obsessed with it and just wanting to be an influencer so bad. And I think I kind of have chipped away at it at certain points and then also given up at certain points. And then when TikTok came around and I kind of was just posting non-seriously. And then I remember my friend Liam Sharma, if you're watching this, sat me down and was like, Elle, you need to start posting every single day. You need to take this seriously. You actually have a real chance at doing this if this is what you want. So I took his advice. I started posting every single day. I was posting vlogs. I started seeing these satirical vlogs about, it was like day in the life of a stay-at-home daughter and videos like that, like day in the life of a housewife, where they were making these really funny, obviously satire voiceovers, just completely playing it up, just being like, oh, you know, this cost $27,000 and my husband buys me this, and like I have this Rolls Royce, and just playing up these funny over the top kind of Real Housewives characters. And I've just found it so hilarious. And I am kind of in the position, I don't obviously have that level of lifestyle, but to where I could make that content. So I did my first funny, like my satire video, and I was pregnant at the time with my third baby. I think I was quite heavily pregnant as well. And I said that I was going to like my bougie obstetrician office, and my husband had just bought me like a handbag that day. My husband is in the studio, guys. I know everyone I keep him such a mystery. So I don't show my kids and I don't show my husband really on camera. And it's something that people are so fascinated by. They really want husband content. And so maybe one day I will bring him on the podcast as a guest. We'll have to see. But getting back into it. So I remember that day, like my husband had surprised me and bought me like a Bottega handbag. it's giving spoiled. And I had this obstetrician who had quite a bougie office in the city. I was like, this is a perfect vlog where I can put a satirical day in the life voice over it. And so I did, and the video blew up. I just remember I would do these voiceovers and I would just black out. I would say anything. My goal was to always say the most outrageous shit just to kind of but you're looking for that, you're baiting those comments. And so that video blew up. I think it got like 600,000 views and everybody hated me. Like hated me. And the amount of hate, it was like 90% negative comments. Everyone thought I was being serious. And that's one thing that when I was watching those other videos of people doing it where I got my inspiration from, to me, it was so obvious that it was a joke. Like, this is a joke. Like, how do you think this person is being serious? No. Everyone thought I was so serious. And I just think at that point, I did a couple of those. I think I only did 3 or 4 until I was like, okay, I actually don't want this to be my digital imprint, because even though they weren't attacking who I actually was and I knew that, they were still like just the straight up nasty. It just was a lot. I was like, I don't think I actually want to be a hated person on the internet. I want to be liked, okay? I'm a Leo and I'm such a Leo, but I want people to like me and actually know and be in on the joke. I think that was the other thing. I wanted people to be in on the joke. So I remember having another sit down, not this time with Lee and my other best friend, Greta. So shout out to Greta. She helped me so much during this time. And my husband also at the same time was telling me, you have to shut this down. This is ridiculous. Like, this is going to hurt my business. This is going to ruin our lives. This is going to ruin our kids' lives. Like, everybody hates you. And so I was either going to have to shut down my account and delete everything, or try and pivot and make something, because I had this ball rolling finally. Like, every video was blowing up. I was finally getting these views. I was like, oh my God, I've actually finally, after years and years and years, cracked into this. And I have a real opportunity here to take advantage of it. And so I was like, how do I pivot this? And how do I work this out? So I ended up finding this skit style content on TikTok where people do these more higher production level skits where someone's helping you film, the way that it's all very choppy style editing. And I studied editing at university. I studied it in high school as well. I actually used to go to a different high school and take an editing class, like a media editing class. So I've like always known a lot about this. And so I decided to pivot into this skit style content. My best friend Greta helped me film those first couple skits, and they also went off, and we just got such good feedback. It was like a complete change from the vlog voiceovers to the actual proper high production skits. And everyone loved it. And I got all positive comments. Everyone thought it was hilarious. It was so obvious that I was playing a character, and I've kind of just made it my whole shtick. So I am the Eastern Suburbs mum, guys, but is that who I am? I play it up so much in those skits. I think there's a clear difference between my skit style content and my regular content. My goal for the podcast really is for just to be my most authentic, real and raw self. I want it to just be like, we're best friends, we're having girl chat, we're having D&Ms, like we've had too many wines together and I'm just spilling my fucking guts out to you guys. Like, I have so many fun stories. I have so many fun guests that are coming on. I've actually already filmed 2 guest episodes, so get ready for those. But I'm just really excited and I want it to be so uncensored. I'm someone who on social media, I'm so open about everything. Even though I don't share my kids, I don't share my husband, I will share everything else, okay? So for future episodes, things you can expect, I've lived many different lives. I've got lots of different eras. I went to 3 different middle schools, 2 different high schools. I've moved back and forth from Australia to America like 3 times. If you didn't know, I'm half American, half Australian. I have dual citizenship. I've been told that when I have too many drinks, I start to sound a little bit more American. My American twang comes out. So I have my American high school era, my cheerleading era. I have my real estate era, which is quite funny. I have my mummy vlogger era. I have so many different things that I've done, so many stories. I actually graduated from juvie high school, which is like, I call it juvie high school, but I got kicked out of school. I used to be a real delinquent. There really is just so much much that you don't know about me, and I'm ready for you to find out. Okay, so I put on Instagram a little Q&A for you guys to ask me some questions. If you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me, because I think for most of my solo episodes, I really want to do this and kind of do half the episode, maybe a little life update, me chatting, and then the other half of the episode, we can do a Q&A. I do Q&As a lot on Instagram and they go off, and everyone always has some really interesting questions, and everyone also always asks the same thing. I've just got one. What did I study in uni? I wanted to go to uni and study media, and my dad would not let me. He was like, you're not going to go and do a media job. You're not going to make any money. You have to go and study something that will earn you money. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You didn't even go to uni. So thanks for the advice. He made me study finance. And I was really good at math in high school. So in my head, I was like, you know what? I'll probably be great at this. I also just have the attitude where I just think I'm going to be great at everything, which is very Leo of me. Also maybe very bipolar of me. I do. And I'm very open about the fact that I do have bipolar. But anyways, bringing it back to uni. So I studied media and finance, was great at media, horrible at finance. I think it reminds me more of statistic type math, which I actually was very bad at. In high school, I'm better at algebra, that kind of stuff. Is that the easy math? I'm good at the easy math. Anytime. Once it gets into the difficult math, no. So I'm there with all these like finance nerds and finance bros, and there's just me like this. I mean, I'm the best, the best that I ever did was when I got into a group of like these boys, like these like little like finance nerdy boys that were really sweet. And that was the best grades that I ever got at uni, was just getting into that group. And then I ended up getting pregnant. So literally at some point, like halfway through the semester, all of a sudden I started growing a belly, and all the boys were just looking at me like, is she fucking pregnant? Because we never spoke about it, and I never actually talked about it to anyone. But at one point, my last semester of uni, I was just pregnant. And I would walk around the campus and boys would look at me like they could catch it like a disease. Like the way that they would just be looking at me like, holy shit. I mean, I was 22. These boys would have been like 18 to 21. They would have been terrified. You know, I should have gotten up and done a seminar and been like, look, boys, what happens? This is what can happen. Wrap it up. Be safe. Otherwise, you're going to end up with one of these. Oh my God. What was my childhood like? So I've gotten a couple questions saying, what was my childhood like? And also growing up in the States, whether I would live there again. So I was actually born in America. I moved to Australia when I was 6 weeks old. And then I moved back to America once my parents divorced when I was 13. And then I moved back to Australia when I was 19. So I was born there. I did primary school here. I did middle school and high school there. And then I did uni here. And living back and forth, I mean, I lived in Texas, so I don't have experience living in other states and what that's like. It might be different in New York. It might be different in LA. But for me, Texas, it was so fun. But would I live there now? Absolutely not. And I think after living in both places, I feel really blessed to live in Australia. And I think it's such a privilege. We have honestly such an amazing country. And I see so many benefits of living here versus living in America. It's something that's always blown my mind about so many Australians and growing up, and my friends who just really idolize living in America, and they see it as this big goal, and everyone seems to want to move there and live in LA. And I just don't understand it. I think Australia is amazing. It's the best. Like, we have Medicare, we have good, like, I guess I don't know anything about the government actually, so I'm not going to call. But compared to what's going on over there, you guys don't understand. I lived in Texas where guns were such a real thing. And I used to have to do active shooter drills all the time in middle school and high school. Like, we had to do them twice a year, where we had to do drills in case we had an active shooter come in and shoot up the school. Like, because shootings are so common there. And now that I have kids and my eldest is going to school, I can't imagine having to worry about her going to school and getting shot. First of all. Also, like, pretty much all of my friends' parents had guns. It was such a big thing. Like, one of my friends, I was friends with this drug dealer in high school, and I remember he got arrested for shooting at another car in broad daylight, shooting out the window at another car in broad daylight, just on one of our random, like, our main suburban streets. So I lived in suburbia in Texas. Like, this is in fully just suburbia Texas, and we have a drug dealer shooting at another car in broad daylight. And he was we would have been 17. 17. So when I think back, as fun as it was, I don't want that for my kids. I know there's different areas and everything like that, but God, I just think Australia and living in Sydney, it's actually so safe. And I really now covet that as someone who is a reformed delinquent. So no, I can't see myself ever moving back. I think it would have to be one of those really blue states like LA or something where they're really, but even I just don't think it's that safe. One thing I do miss is the food, okay? I will say Texas has really, really yummy, disgusting, like fast food that's just huge portions, like full of like fatty deliciousness, and it's amazing. If I could, I want Chick-fil-A, okay? I want Chicken Express, I want Chick-fil-A, I want real Taco Bell. I want all of that stuff back sometimes, but you can't have it all. So I've been asked, what were my pregnancies like? And also, how did I deal with pregnancy weight gain? This is something I get so many questions about, my pregnancies. So I had 3 pregnancies kind of back to back, and I'm very lucky that I had them very young. And when it comes to pregnancy weight gain, and a huge thing about me is like how I've snapped back, a lot of it is genetics. I've just always been a stick my whole life. Like I'm built like a pencil, and I actually used to get made fun of in high school always for being too skinny. My whole life made fun of for being too skinny. And I think that was from living in Texas, and the body type and the aesthetic there was always very different. And now coming back to Australia, and we're kind of coming into this new phase as well where being skinny now is really being coveted again. We're in the Ozempic era. So that's just not how I always thought I was too thin. I've always actually my whole life tried to gain weight and wanted a butt and wanted curves. And it's just the grass is always greener on the other side. But I never want to talk. I'm always very wary kind of eating disorders. I don't want to trigger anyone or anything, but I'm very lucky that I really just didn't gain that much weight in my pregnancy. So I didn't really have much to lose at the end of it. It was kind of just all pregnancy weight. Now I'm actually getting into a fitness era, and I'm going to have my personal trainer come on at some point as well. He said he would do it because I've gotten into weightlifting and strength training out of nowhere. I was always a Pilates princess. Like I barely worked out. I was always skinny, but like skinny fat. Like I never had any muscle. I never had any tone. I had zero upper body strength. Now I actually have muscle tone. I've been like doing strength training and weight training for 8 or 9 months and having the best time. So I can deadlift. My personal best is like 80 kilos. We're hoping to get to like a 60 kilo squat. Like I'm doing all these heavy, I did like 20 kilo bent over single arm rows the other day. I was like, I'm strong. I really want to do, my goal is 1 unassisted chin up. So once I get there, once I can just go and like do a chin up, I will be so pleased. But I actually feel like now I have information. I actually have knowledge to share about fitness now. I used to get these questions about how did you bounce back? And I'd be like, oh no, I just got fucking lucky. Honestly, like genetics. But I like now that I can actually maybe inspire some kind of fitness motivation. But my pregnancies were very straightforward as well. I had 3 normal births. I had epidurals. All 3 were induced, very healthy. Babies were healthy. Everything was fine. So I got really lucky with that. I think having them young made a huge difference. I had my first when I had just turned 23. My second baby, I was 25. And then my third, I just had last year at 28. So having them young, I remember my obstetrician and all of the nurses and everyone just being like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. You're so young. Don't worry about that statistic. You're so young. Oh my God, you don't have to worry about this. We don't have to do that test, blah, blah. This is when I was 22. So I get it. And they're like, you are at the right age to have babies. But also society is just not set up for women to have babies at that age. I think I just got very lucky, and I gave up a career to do that. And then I'm only kind of just now getting into a career now, which I'm lucky I've picked something like this. What are the qualities that I look for in a partner that will provide for you and respect you? So this is a big thing. I have a very traditional relationship where my husband provides. I was a stay-at-home mom, a housewife for a long time. I've only kind of just now started working because TikTok just kind of turned into a job. One big thing that is so important in our relationship, and the biggest advice that I have, is about respect, and it's them respecting what you do. I think what has happened with traditional relationships, and we saw this happen kind of with the generation before us, is that the man going off and working and earning the money, all of a sudden his value was placed so much higher than the woman who was staying home. And this is something that I love, that I feel like my generation of women is now fighting for our value back. I believe that feminism is the right to choose, and it's supporting women no matter what they choose. So you're supporting women if they choose to work, and you're supporting women if they choose to stay home. Feminism is not supporting women who want to stay home and be stay-at-home mothers and be housewives. That's not what if you're putting those women down, that's not what feminism is. And I also think that 50-50 relationships and how we view them is changing so much, because 50-50 is no longer the woman going to work and also doing all of everything else. And then the man only goes to work and he comes home and he does nothing, contributes nothing to the household chores, nothing to the raising of the children. So I don't know. I feel very strongly about this. I kind of want to do like almost, I could do a whole episode on this because I feel so strongly about it. But the number one thing is respect. So his time is not more valuable than yours, and what he does is not more valuable. I think it puts him in this weird position of power and control, and you're kind of stuck home with the kids. Like, when is your time off? You know, just because he is out earning the money and what you're doing at home with the kids and around the house is not earning money, his time is more valuable. You get pushed into the wayside. You're always in the shadow, and that affects your confidence. And then we have all these miserable women who are mums who are not enjoying it, and their partners don't respect them, and they don't have this equal relationship. And then what happens? And then the man goes and they cheat and they have affairs and blah. I say this to my husband all the time. I think especially if you have this incredible, powerful job, you are going out to work every day and you're getting validation, recognition. Someone is there like giving you awards. You're getting all this great feedback. You feel like you're kicking goals. And then being this person staying at home, you're not getting that same level of validation if you're not at least getting it from your partner, not someone who is respecting what you do. And it comes down to as well, even about money. It's like, okay, the money that they're earning is not their money. It's your accrued money together, because you're both investing. You're investing in them to go out and be able to earn that money. And they couldn't do that without you. And I think women, we're getting our power back. Last year, the year of the Barbie movie. That's like one of my favorite things to say. It's like the year of the Barbie movie. It's not the year of the Barbie movie anymore, but it was last year. And I feel like that is just one thing that really kickstarted all of this. Is it just showed men what we're dealing with here, because it showed a world that was a matriarchy instead of a patriarchy, and how insane that was. And when everyone went and watched that movie, and men just thought it was fucking crazy. And it's like, no, this is real life for us. Like, this is what we deal with. Like, this is how the world looks as a patriarchy. It is insane. I am front of line leading the charge for women on this. I really am. I want women to realize the power that they have. You are an equal. Definitely do not get caught up in a man not respecting you. And there's nothing wrong with a traditional relationship, and women should just be supporting women no matter what. If I had to pick a different career outside of content mum, what would I pick? So I did have a real estate era, which I'm not going to get into too much because I want to do a whole episode on this, but I did real estate for 8 months total, which is so fun. That's one thing about me. I am not afraid to walk away from a job. I learned in high school something that if I didn't want to do something, I didn't have to do it. And I don't know if that has benefited me or hindered me. I do think that when I want to stick something out, I can. It doesn't mean I don't know how to work hard and chase things that I want, but I will not waste any time in something that I know is not my thing or not working out. And I really think I just watched way too much Selling Sunset in lockdown. And also being in lockdown was just, like being home with children for that long. I was just like, get me out of here. You know what? Maybe I need a job. I had never, ever thought about working ever. And then all of a sudden after lockdown, I was like, you know what sounds fun? A job, a career. Get me out of this house. And then, watched way too much Selling Sunset, and I ended up with a mini little career in real estate, which I'll get to in another episode. And I kind of want to bring on maybe someone, a guest who is in that real estate era with me and talk about it. But God, it's just such a man's world. And I lasted 4 months at one job, quit, lasted 4 months at another job at another place and quit. So yeah, real estate was not my thing. But I think if I wasn't doing content right now, I would not be working. I would just be, oh, actually, I don't know. I say that. I also had a jewelry business in lockdown. I think in my mind, I think I don't want to work and then I just can't help myself and I always end up working anyways. So during lockdown, I ended up starting this jewelry business that actually turned over, like, we added it all up and I think it did maybe 200,000 in sales, like just all me hand making all the jewelry by myself, and ended up being kind of successful. People ask me all the time, I still get questions why I stopped. I actually stopped doing that to start the career in real estate because lockdown was over. I was desperate to get out of the house. Real estate didn't work out. And then I went back to, I was like, no, okay, I just want to be a stay-at-home mum. I just want a mum. I just want to hang out at home. I want a leisurely life. And then now I've ended up doing this and I'm running around like a mad woman. And I think I want this soft, leisurely life. And now I just have the busiest schedule in the world trying to balance everything and chasing this social media career. But I love it. I really feel like I was built for this. Like, this is what I was made to do. I've never had this feeling about anything before. I've worked several different jobs, even thinking my whole life that I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. But this, even podcasting, like, this is what I want to do. And I really feel like I was built for this. I love it. I love everything about it. During Fashion Week, everything, I'm thriving. I love going to events. I love meeting people. I love networking. I love meeting like viewers and followers. Like, I absolutely thrive off of it. I love being on camera. I'm a Leo. I love the sound of my own voice. I love to chat. I love to do live streams. I don't get remotely embarrassed about filming in public. That's another thing. I get that question a lot too, because I just go out and film my skits in the middle of Double Bay. And also I'm fine vlogging, out talking in front of everyone, just phone out here, not worried about, I just go into a zone. And I think because I've seen all aspects of media, when I'm doing content, especially when you're doing it by yourself, you're also directing and producing the content. So I get so into my head once I get into filming a skit or doing anything that there is no room for me to be embarrassed about what I'm doing, because I am just so focused on exactly what I have to execute, because you're also kind of directing, producing, doing everything at the same time. That's why this is fun with the podcast, because I actually don't have to edit this. I get to just come and sit and chat. Okay, the next two ones kind of go together. How do I manifest things? What do I actually do? More details on this. So I shared that I manifest, but I don't really intentionally manifest, but I think it's something that I've always done. I think I've always just very, very strongly envisaged what I want next in life and where I want my life to be. One of the biggest keys to manifesting is to say, I already have this, and not saying I want this or I hope this will happen. You kind of have to just in your head convince yourself and gaslight yourself that it's happening and it's going to happen, like it's already happened. Like, this is just where my life is going, 100%. And I think I've always just been like, I'm going to end up there. I'm going to be doing this. For me also, guys, I'm very bipolar. So that a lot of that is grandiose sense of self and maybe a little bit of mania here and there. But definitely just having a lot of confidence and believing in yourself and just reciting to yourself the goals that you want and the things that you want as if they're already happening, as if this is already where your life is going. That is the key to manifesting. And I really think it works. I think the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. If you're putting positive energy, me holding my lip well, if you're putting positive energy out into the universe, you will get it back. And if you're sitting there, and especially to like some of like the hate and everything that I see online, if you're sitting there putting that negative energy out into the universe, you're going to get that negative energy back and it's going to suck. Okay. And then someone else said, where do you see yourself in 10 years time? So in 10 years time, I will be 38. My children will all be in high school. I see myself hopefully still podcasting. I think out of everything, I don't see that much longevity in TikTok. I'm trying to switch over a little bit more to YouTube. I think social media is something I see myself doing for a long time. But the reason why I wanted to start a podcast is I see so much longevity in it. I just can see myself in 10 years' time getting up, coming, sitting down, chatting away like once a week for an hour, having the best time. I think podcasting really evolves with you. Social media also does. It all kind of evolves with you and where you go, no matter where I end up. Yeah, but in 10 years, I'll be a hot MILF, hopefully still killing it in podcasting. My kids will be in high school. I'll be navigating that. That'll be interesting. I'm not ready. I actually don't think that far ahead at the same time. As much as I manifest, I think I manifest directly like next to what's going to happen, like the very next chapter of my life. I'm not actually thinking 10 years ahead. That's a long time away. That's a bit scary to me. My biggest fear is death. So I'm trying not to think that far ahead, guys, but hopefully I'll still be doing this. Okay, so I think that is it for my first ever episode of Ellefluential. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited for what's to come. We have so many exciting guests. I'm going to do a mix of solo and guest episodes. I've got several of my best friends that are coming on. I've got my plastic surgeon who did my boobs. He's just confirmed that he'll come on. I'll have my personal trainer come on. So many fun, interesting people. Get ready because it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Ellefluential. If you're enjoying the show, hit the follow for future episodes. Plus, you can find me on socials. I'm at L_Eastern Suburbs Mum on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm Elle Salagaris on YouTube. XOXO, Elle.